Hey everybody, it's Doc Green, the Rose Scholar coming back at you today. I'm doing a little video. Sorry I haven't shaven. I'm trying to do that no shave November things, but my hair grows a little slow, so I'm starting in October. And I'm letting my hair grow out a little bit. Gonna try to style it and everything and see how that goes this year. So that's the reason I'm kind of looking all rough and taggly and raggedy right now. But anyway, thought I'd go over things. I haven't did a video on this since the summertime. Fuel prices have changed. And if a couple of drivers that watched my last video asked me when I'm going to do a video on how to calculate up how much money you spend per mile. So here's if you don't know how much money you're spending per mile, you don't know how much you need to be making per mile. So we're going to go over that real quick. Everyone get out a pencil and paper. You can pause the video right here, get a pencil and paper, and let's start writing some of this down real quick. And I'll wait. Okay, guys, hopefully you paused the video, brought it back, play. So here's what you need. The first thing you need to do. You need to calculate up how much money you're spending today on your lease program, if you're on a lease program. This part of the video is for lease owner operators, or lease operators. You know how much money you're spending for your lease, how much money you're spending for insurance, your computer, anything that they're taking out of your payments, maintenance costs, all that stuff. You need to be writing that down here. Let's say it's running, let's say $62 for your lease per day, and I don't know, $15 or whatever for your computer, your OmniTrax or whatever system you got tracking your ELD system, and then you got a maintenance account they take some out of, and then you got your physical insurance, and you got your bobtail insurance. Anyway, it's on your statement. You add all of these up, and it's going to give you a total. It's roughly around 150 a day. So I'm going to use 150 as an example. But you go to your statements, look at your statements, and see how much money you're paying out per day. Add all that up for one day, and then we're going to take that number, and let's say you're averaging 600 miles a day. Most drivers average between 550 and 600 miles driving per day. So you divide 600 by that number. I'm sorry, you divide your total, like 150 by 600, equals about 0.27. So that's about 27 cents a mile you're spending. Every time you move that truck 1 mile, you're spending at least 27 cents just on your maintenance, your payments, and all that stuff. You need to know this stuff. Now, so you got 27 cents per mile. Again, take your total, divide it by how many miles average you drive per day. I'm just doing a rough estimate. 600 comes up to 27 cents. Yours may be different. If you're running 550, you spend a little bit less, you spend a little bit more. You need to write these numbers down and figure them out for yourself. Second thing, they go, well, 27 cents a mile, and I'm making $1.20 a mile. That means I'm making $1 per mile. No, because you still haven't taken off your fuel yet. Let's say, and here's how you do that. Fuel is kind of different, because you have to know how many gallons of fuel you're using on average per day. My truck runs anywhere from 7.5 to 8 miles per gallon. So I'm going to say, just for example, we're going to use 7.5 miles per gallon. Okay, I say I'm running 600 miles a day. So I'm going to divide 600 by 7.5, which gives me a total of 80 gallons a day. Okay, I got 80 gallons. Sorry, kind of give me a minute to think here. 80 gallons a day. And I'm spending, let's say, $4.60 per gallon. Okay, so I multiply 80 times 460, whatever I was spending. And then I divide that by 600. And that tells me how much money I'm spending per mile in fuel. I'm running about 68 cents a mile. Some people may be running a little bit more, a little bit less. And it depends on, if I'm up in the mountains, how heavy my loads are and everything. But this is on average. This gives me a basic understanding of how much money I'm going to have to charge on a load to haul it. So now I got 68 cents per mile that I'm spending on fuel. I got 28 cents per mile that I'm spending on my maintenance, my lease payments, and everything like that. So that brings me up to 95 cents a mile. So guys are going, okay, so 95 cents a mile, so I can run it for $1.60 a mile. I'm still making, 60, 70 cents a mile. No, you're not. And here's why. Now you got to take out your federal taxes per mile. Rough estimate. But I know if I'm running about 20% of what I take home, and I know that my taxes are running me about 15, 20 cents a mile. Okay, so now instead of making, so I was at 27 cents for my payments. I was at 65 cents. Let's bring it up to 92 cents. Now another 20 cents down to about $1.12. So for me to make enough money to take home at least $250, $300, $400 a day, depending on how much money you need to make, I know that if I want to make $250 a day, then I'm going to have to charge 50 cents more per mile than what I'm paying out. So I need at least $1.62 a mile. Now that's for some people who can make it on $250 a day. My expenses right now run me about $300 a day, so I need a little bit more than that. But that's how you figure this out. So if you take all those, like I said, about 20 cents a mile for your taxes, about 68 cents a mile, and I told you how to figure out 68 cents a mile. Take your how many miles you average per day, multiply that by your fuel mileage, which is like 7.9 in my case, 7.5 to 8 in my case. I did 7.5 just to give you an example. Divide that by how many miles you drive a day, and that came out to like 0.65. So that's 65 cents a mile on fuel. That's how you do that. Add your fuel, 65 cents a mile, plus your average you're spending per mile on maintenance, your lease payment, all that. Add those two up, 92 cents a mile. Add about 20 cents in for taxes, $1.12 a mile. So if you need to make $250 a day or $300 a day, and you're running 600 miles, you need to be making about 50 cents a mile. So if you're at $1.12, you know that you need to make at least $1.62 a mile on your load that you're carrying in order to clear $300 a day take home. That's how you do it. A lot of guys just look at it and goes, it's 670 miles, but they're paying me like $800. I can finish it today. That's $800 in my pocket. No, guys, quit thinking like that. If you don't break these numbers down at least once a week, because fuel prices are changing so much, every week you should break it down what the average of fuel cost is. If you're not doing that, then you have no idea how much money you're making per mile. And if you don't know how much money you're making per mile, you're not an owner, you're not a business operator. You might as well go be a company driver. At least that way you know how much you're making per mile. Because if you don't know how much you're spending per mile, there's no way you can know how much you're making per mile. That's simple. And if you don't know how much you're making per mile, there's no way that you can calculate how much money you need to charge per mile to drive. And I've had some places, like a lot of people question me and everything, like, Doc, yeah, you sat still for 24 hours the other day. I was stuck in Atlanta, bad loads coming through, and I wasn't going to take anything less than $1.60. That day I calculated out, it was like $1.68 a mile. Nothing was coming in for $1.68. They were all coming in for like $1.27, $1.34, or whatever. But I'm not going to take those. They go, well, you lost, you didn't, but you still had to pay your lease that day. You still didn't make any money. Right. So the next day, whenever I calculated up what I needed to make, I had to include the price of my lease for the day before into that, which raised my rate up a little bit. Luckily, a load came over for about $1.96 a mile, and I took it. It covered my rate for the day before and made me enough money for that day to where I'm covered on what I need to make driving per day. Now, did I make any money for that day before with $1.96? I made a little bit, not really worried about it. I make enough money where I don't have to drive every single day to pay my bills and make my things. But I'm not running for free. And if you are, because you say, oh, I got to have this, I'd rather have $100 than no dollars, by the time you get them calculated, you're not making $100. You know what I'm saying? And I would rather not drive, relax, chill out, not have to deal with these four-wheelers, not have to deal with these headaches, not have to deal with stress level and everything before I drive for $150, $200 a day. I'm just not doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's not worth my stress level. It's not worth my health level. It's not worth the wear and tear on my truck. It's worth none of these things. So I'm just not doing it. And once you get to $250, $300 a day, yeah, that's worth my time. That's worth my stress. That's worth me getting out here, getting worried about four-wheelers and everything else. But for anything less than that, don't do it. It's just not worth it to you. And the company will send you over. Sometimes, I know at DART, we have a problem with the company sending us over bad loads because that's all they have. You know what I'm saying? And they've already taken these loads. They're trying to get them covered and everything. And that's fine. I understand that. But you need to go ahead and give that to your company driver, because I cannot work for that. I see that one load was $1.27 a mile the other day. They offered me. And here's the problem. If I would have took it, guess what? I spent $1.27 a mile. Now, it looked halfway decent. Well, it pays, so many miles. I think they're 500 something miles. It pays like $700 something dollars. And everyone goes, oh, that's almost $1.50 a mile. No, it's nowhere near that. It's $1.27 a mile. And after calculating up all my expenses and everything, that's what I was spending, because fuel was high, or a little bit high. It was like $4.65 a gallon or something. And by the time I bought my fuel and paid for my lease payments and paid for my maintenance and everything and my taxes, I would haul the load for free for $1.27. Simple as that would have been. They would have made. But here's the funny part: Dart would make money, because they still make their 32%, because we get 68%. So they still make their money. But me, I would have been driving basically for free. I'd have been driving around just to see if my truck did it, because I would have made no money on that load. So if you guys are hauling these loads, if you're hauling a load for any less than $1.27 to $1.57, you might as well, or $1.67, you might as well be a company driver, because you're only getting paid 40 cents a mile. So you might as well go on back to being a company driver where you get paid a little bit more. And that's, if you're hauling for any less than $1.62 a mile, you need to be a company driver. Some people go, well, that's all they're paying. I don't care. Don't do it, because you're not making any money. You're making less than a company driver, and you're responsible for the maintenance on that truck. Not worth it to you. Go be a company driver. Anyway, I got another video coming up here real quick. It's going to be talking about what states to drive in, what states not to drive in, what states to take loads in, and how you need to take loads and be prepared to go out. Because I messed up the other day. I took a load, seen the rate on it. It was a real good rate going into Georgia, but I was in a hurry, just grabbed, boom, accepted the load and everything. And I'm one of the people, once I accept the load, I don't turn it back in unless, maintenance issues or something I can't help. So I went ahead and ran it, because I told them I would. Knew better, did it anyway, and I shouldn't have. And I'll get on that next video with you guys here in just a few minutes. I'll do another video and might load it up today, maybe tomorrow. But anyway, today's video is basically teaching you how to calculate how much money you're spending per mile, so you know how much money you have to charge per mile to make the amount of money you want to make per week. Guys, a friend of mine is working on a spreadsheet right now that if you want to order the spreadsheet from me or whatever, you can let me know below, and we will send it to you. Teaches you fill out each one of the numbers and everything, and and you can do that on every load, and that way at the end of it, you fill it out. Once you get the spreadsheet, you can fill out like, okay, this is how much you're paying, this is how much I'm making, this is how much, and boom, this is how much I make at the end per mile. Is this worth it for me? So we are working on a spreadsheet to help you guys out with that, and we'll post that as soon as it's available. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.